Hello, it's Felipe again, and now I will be showing how the app is structured and the technologies I have been using for this. So this is built on Next.js on version 14. I decided to use the app folder structure. I usually prefer using pages, and the way of pages is much easier for me and more understandable. But I thought since I'm doing a challenge, it would be nice to implement this new way. That is the way that Next is trying to enforce, and it's the way that they think is the best. So we have a layout component where you can see we have the provider that basically manages the Redux, and we have the registry of and this helps for the and components basically. And we can see we also have this. This is something that helps with one specific issue that Next has, and if you don't have this value, you sometimes get a weird flicker. And then we have our page, right? Our page is working as a home, and nowadays we are only calling the split screen. The split screen component is something really simple that grabs the screen and splits it in half. This helps us later show both party A and party B, and it has the responsiveness needed. The responsiveness is being done by the use breakpoint, something that ND provides us. Then we can see we have party A and party B. They are both quite simple components. They are accessing the info using the selector, the info from the slice, and they are showing the corresponding UI based on that. The one that is more complex is the one of party A, because party A, we need to remember that it's not synchronous, so we need to actually wait for the user to click on refresh to actually get the latest info. And for that reason, I have to manage some state with useRef. With this, I'm avoiding some data being overridden when I don't want it to happen. So I need to correctly check and save the initial state. And if the user of party B does some updates, I need to make sure that this response from party B is not changing my UI. If eventually the user decides to click OK on the model, then I do get the updated values. We do have responsiveness here also. It's quite simple. It's using mostly components of AND, and I try to use as many components of AND as possible. I'm more used to using Material UI, and it's a library that I actually prefer, but I think AND is also a good library. And again, I could have used something like Tailwind or CSS, but the reason I went with AND is that I prefer having everything in components and trying to use everything as reusable as it can be. So yeah, that's the reason I went with this approach. We also have the offer slice. This is the Redux where we are managing the offer, and we transfer the state from one party to another. And what I can also show is that I have all the configurations that I need to add to get Jest working, and Jest is working. So we can see that we have party B and party A, that are the two biggest components, have test, and the tests are working fine. They can be run by running npm run test, and they will pass. They consider different scenarios, and they are all working fine. The application can be also run by doing npm run dev. It's as simple as that, and the application will run on localhost. So there is a possibility of running it locally if preferred, and if you don't want to see it on the Vercel side. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think I have anything else to add. I do have managed a constant to keep the different status of the offer. I manage some hooks that are helping me to basically with the Redux state and the dispatch and the selector. And that's basically the structure that I have. Of course, if it was a bigger application, I would do some reworks. I wouldn't have party A and party B. I would have something more general and more reusable. And I will try to build everything as modular as I can. But since this was a small demo and a small time frame, that's the reason I went with this approach. So that's pretty much it. If there are any questions, feel free to ping me, and hope you have liked the application.